Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the regular Hampstead School Board meeting of Wednesday, August 26, 2020. Before I start, let me do it officially. For anyone who wasn't here last week, I said I needed a gavel. Our wonderful middle school vice principal, Lynn Joseph, sent me a gavel. Now you're all in trouble because now I have a gavel. All right. As chair of the Hampstead School Board, I find that due to the state of emergency declared by the governor as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic and in accordance with the governor's emergency order number 12 pursuant to executive order 2020-04, this public body is authorized to meet electronically. Please note there is no physical location to observe and listen contemporaneously to this meeting, which was authorized pursuant to the governor's emergency order. However, in accordance with the emergency order, I am confirming that we are A, providing public access to the meeting by telephone. We are utilizing Zoom for this electronic meeting. All members of the board have the ability to communicate contemporaneously during this meeting through this platform, and the public has access to contemporaneously listen to this meeting by dialing the following phone number, 888-475-4499 or 877-853-5257. B, providing public notice of the necessary information for accessing the meeting. We previously gave notice to the public of the necessary information for accessing the meeting, including how to access the meeting using Zoom telephonetically. Instructions have also been provided on the district website at hsdschools.net. C, providing a mechanism for the public to alert the public body during the meeting if there are problems with access. If anybody has a problem, please email hmstechnology@hampsteadschools.net. D, adjourning the meeting if the public is unable to access the meeting. In the event the public is unable to access the meeting will be adjourned and rescheduled. Please note that all votes that are taken during this meeting shall be done by roll call vote. Melissa, will you please call the roll call?
Yes. Megan Malcolm?
I'm here alone in this room. Family members are in the house.
Caitlin Parnell?
Here, I'm alone in the room. There are family members in the house.
David Smith?
You're muted.
I'll say that again. I'm here, alone in the room, and others are in the house.
Thank you. And Jim Sweeney? Has he had a chance to call in? Okay, Markham absent. Karen Yusenka?
I'm here alone in my office. There are others in the house.
Okay. Executive Consultant, Dr. Earl Metzler?
I'm present in my office, and there are other members of my family in the house.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Melissa. Board members, in your packets, you have meeting minutes from our meeting of August 18th. You also have meeting minutes for our public forum for August 20th. And our work session also from August 20th. I think I have that all right.
I make the motion that we accept the minutes as presented for the meetings on August 18th, the public forum on August 20th, and the meeting on August 20th. Two meetings, two sets of minutes for August 20th.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
You're muted again.
Second.
You can pick one, Melissa.
I'll say that David Smith second that. Just to be
Okay.
clear, I want to make sure that we're also including the non-public minutes in the motion.
Sorry. I don't think I said non-public.
So we do have, my notes say that we do have 4 sets of minutes. We've got the August 18th regular meeting and the non-public session. And then we have the August 20th regular meeting and the workshop. I just wasn't sure if we were including the non-public.
If you'd like me to be more specific, we'll just add the non-public on August 20th also, Melissa, to my motion.
Okay, thank you. Okay, can I take the roll call?
Yes.
Ms. Malcolm,
Yes.
Mrs. Parnell,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
and Mrs. Yusenka.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Thank you, Melissa. Okay, first up under current business, we have Mr. Dowd talking about the SAU office reopening plan.
Thank you, Caitlin. I'm going to go ahead and share out my screen to make things a little bit more visual if it helps. So the SAU 55 office has been in remote operations since we began this period of pandemic. And there are some plans to reopen the building, and I'll fill you in on what those look like. So when do we anticipate reopening? We anticipate reopening sometime before September 8th, 2020. Our personnel, so with the exception of the receptionist that we have at our front desk, which is still vacant, we don't have anyone in that role at the moment, personnel are expected to be able to all be housed in offices. Outside of the offices in common areas, masks will be worn, but the ability to actually meet face-to-face in individual offices would be very limited among staff. So some of the changes that we have to the building lobby, some temporary changes, plexiglass and some other infrastructure changes to protect staff who are working in that immediate area. Longer term, I would envision the addition of some permanent walls to actually create a separate lobby area and space altogether. I think that'll take some time, probably involve moving back the reception desk that we have now and closing that in and closing the lobby area to really to be just that front area alone. So the facility itself, so hallways will be marked as one way, hand sanitizer will be widely available. Facility cleaning protocols will be very consistent with what the district procedures are for schools and offices that we have now. Our heating, ventilation, air conditioning system will use a MERV 11 filtration or better as it becomes available. So this is probably worth noting. We really will not be having visitors into the building. Visitors, if they will be coming to the building, will be asked to self-screen before arriving at the SAU. Visitors coming into the building will be limited to necessity. I would anticipate that this would be someone who has a specific meeting scheduled with a member of administration at the SAU, or perhaps someone who is being either hired and will need to be fingerprinted or interviewed. We do anticipate actually using a front office in the building so that visitors can be isolated, or employees can be isolated to that area of the building in order to have either fingerprinting or HR intake performed. We expect that visitors will be scheduled by appointment only. So if someone shows up at our building, we would expect that they would set up a time for an appointment to meet with whatever appropriate personnel they would be looking to meet with. And upon arrival at the SAU, they'll be requested to notify the SAU, and we would in turn notify whoever it is that they would need to be visiting and have them go out to the parking lot and help get them into the building. So if requests can be fulfilled outside the building, visitors will be requested to remain outside. And so if a request for something can be provided, a visitor would notify us upon arrival at the building, and we would, or staff would bring their request out to them if possible. So those are a couple of the changes that people would see if they are going to be having any business at the SAU building in Plastow. Some concerns that we have are that the building's HVAC system does not utilize fresh air intakes at all. Even our schools have ventilators in Hsdsb that do take air from the outside. We do have some gravity fed and some power vent fed or power vent operated exhaust fans as well, which again circulate the air from the outside to the inside back out of the building again. We also currently have no receptionist on staff to monitor visitors or to attend to the door or ascertain who's even at the building. And neither the SAU conference room or the boardroom that we have at the SAU in the lower level allow for adequate social distancing really for any significant number of of people to meet together. The building square footage and common areas really don't allow for proper social distancing, even with one-way hallways and and that sort of thing. It just is not that big. The kitchen, for example, would likely only be able to be used by one person at a time. We try and enforce social distancing. It's just not that big. So there is also a limited availability of bathrooms in the building. So that is a bit of a concern. So I'll address any questions that the board may have, but I hope you found this to be helpful, insightful.
Jeff, I do have a question. So are employees being given, employees at the SAU being given the opportunity to stay remote if they have concerns?
Yeah, yes. Yeah, requests are
Okay.
or have already been submitted, and they're being evaluated by the Human Resources Department.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Anyone else have questions? Okay,
Very well, thank you.
thank you, Jeff. Thank you. Okay, next up, I just wanted to quickly put out there that we still have a vacant position for our school district clerk. This was our position that Mrs. Nancy Lacasse fulfilled for so many years, and she, finally, rightfully so, stepped down and retired from that. So essentially, it's the school board's duty to appoint a clerk from now or whenever we could get someone through until the election in March of 2021, where they could then be on the ballot. We did mention this before, and we had put it out that we will take letters of interest, which can be submitted directly to a board member, or I guess specifically to me. So you can email, if anyone out there has an interest in being involved at the district level, you are welcome to submit a letter of interest, and we can appoint someone so we have a school district clerk. Again, it would be through till March 2021 for the next election. So if anyone has interest or has questions, reach out and we can see about getting information or looking into appointing someone if we have letters of interest. Do we want to advertise for this? I don't know, putting that question to the other board members. I don't know. Anybody? Melissa?
I just wanted to say that if the board does decide to advertise, we can use AppleTrack, and I'd be more than happy to get a posting together and put that out.
Okay. I mean, I don't see any harm in advertising it, putting it out there.
Have we posted around in the town, like, how we usually put in the town hall, that kind of stuff, that it's open?
I don't know.
Is that
I don't know
something-
that we normally post there for positions. Well, when it's open for like school board positions, you're right. Yeah, we do. I mean, we could ask if like town hall will put it up, I suppose. Town hall and maybe the library. That's where we usually post things, right? The library and town hall.
Yes, that's correct.
Correct. And the schools when they're open, but we don't have anybody going to the school.
I think if we could do that with, what the job entails, either, some bullets of description as well as time commitment, because I don't see somebody coming from outside of Hampstead really to do this. But who knows? But I think that, there'd be enough interest maybe if we posted around the town and maybe posted, like Melissa said, posting to that site.
I think they have to be from Hampstead because it's an elected position.
Okay.
I thought so. I wasn't sure, but I thought so.
Yeah, they need to be a Hampstead
Yeah, I think
resident.
so.
That's accurate.
Thank you.
Okay. I mean, Melissa, would that be something you can put together and send to town hall and the library? See if they'll post it.
Absolutely. I can draft something up then if you want to just take a look at it before it goes final. I can absolutely do that.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
If it
Okay,
helps, Caitlin, I think the question that had been asked, Caitlin, it really is a position that's of nominal stipend. And I think that work is focused largely around the annual meeting. So it's really,
Yep.
it's a very small stipend for the position as well. And it's a very limited scope of work, and really entails, I think, the minutes mostly for the board's public hearings or meetings before the vote. So just if that gives some perspective to anyone who might be listening or be helpful, now they know.
perfect. Thank you, Jeff. Okay, so Melissa, if you want to draft something up, and I'll take a look at it and we'll get it out. See if we get any interest.
Will do.
Okay, board comments and correspondence. I'm going to go alphabetically. Megan, you're up.
I don't think I have anything this evening.
Okay. I'm up next. I don't have anything either. David?
I know I've got a lot of questions about, remote versus phase 2, beyond. I just say that take this opportunity to rest assured that we do have a great administration here. We do have great teachers, and we're all thinking about that. And I just ask, what I've said to people that have asked me about it, just ask some patience as we're trying to get through to open up with remote as best as we can and focus on that. But we are also, we know the administration and teachers are also talking about what's beyond that and when and how to get to that point. So just ask for a little bit more patience as much as possible, as I know there's some people that are pretty anxious about this. So that's some of the correspondence I've had recently.
Thank you, David. Jim's not here, I don't think, unless he's popped up since. So Karen, I'm going to go to you for board comments and correspondence.
Yes, thank you. I do have a comment. I'm going to use my board comment time this evening to address comments about me that have been posted on social media. These comments have called into question my character as a school board member. Even though it's not my practice to respond to Facebook chatter, I feel that in this situation, to remain silent is to give permission for people to continue to spread harmful, damaging lies about me. On Monday, August 17th, 2020, now more than 72 hours ago, a post appeared on the Hampstead Community Facebook page stating that in 1999, I had been arrested. Subsequent postings on that page state that I had been convicted. There are 5 admins for that page: Steve Morse, Lee Campos, Jody Lacasse, Cindy Franciosa, and Diana Abiraid. These are the facts. In 1999, 21 years ago, I was a realtor for a now defunct real estate agency. I left that agency and opened Yasenka Real Estate Incorporated. The owners of the aforementioned agency falsely accused me of wrongdoing. They filed a complaint with the Rockingham County Sheriff, and as a result, I was arrested. The Rockingham County prosecutor declined to prosecute and dropped the case. The arrest was annulled. To be clear, I was not convicted. Please note, freedom of speech is one thing, but intentionally spreading lies with malice and forethought to lower the reputation of someone in the community by accusing that person of criminal activity meets the standard for defamation and is actionable under New Hampshire law. Just so there's no confusion, should anyone accuse me of committing a crime again, they best be prepared to prove their accusation in a court of law, for I am prepared to bring legal action against them. Thank you, Madam Chair, for allowing me this opportunity.
Thank you, Karen. I think that was incredibly well said and needed to be said. Moving on from board comments and correspondence, we're on to consent agenda. Dr. Metzler, do you have anything for us this evening for this?
I do just quickly. We do not have a personnel report this evening. I'm not sure. Do you have financial documents if Mr. Dowd had sent them? And finally, in terms of an executive consultant's report, I want to focus this on our opening, just a kind of a brief update, if you will. I can say our teachers, our administrators, our paras, as expected, have just done an outstanding job getting ready to receive, students in whatever capacity we're able to deliver. We are looking at, and Mr. Smith, alluded to, we are looking. Our goal really is to get back to our new normal and get everybody back in these buildings. We do understand that for some parents, that's going to mean choice. Some parents may not be comfortable in the near future. We're looking at, and we're working with our unions. I've said this right from the beginning. I think Hampstead did it correctly. You can look around. You don't have to look too far to see other districts that I don't believe handled it correctly. Our people in the trenches were very much involved every step of the way, and have been outstanding in terms of supporting the work of, what the board has supported and what the district is willing to do. But we're looking at phase 2 and phase 3, and we're looking at hybrid. Maybe is not the best option as our next move, depending on what the data tells us. So we are looking at, trying to get back to in person for families and then provide that kind of choice. So we'll be watching this data very carefully. We'll know a lot more that in several weeks than we know today, middle of September to the end of September. So we hope we're able to bring back some more plans to you that are updated, that really will try to get us back to that new normal as quickly as possible and as safely as possible. So, those are the conditions. We certainly don't want a union that has any union or anybody in the trenches or even students for that matter that have questions that are unanswered or aren't feeling really safe or confident about what we're doing. And also, obviously, Caitlin, you and I talked about this months ago. Our real goal was to try to offer choice at some point. I do believe this board made the best decision. I do believe the district is making the best decision to start remotely. I think it's safe, and I think I think it was the prudent decision at the time, and I still believe it is. But we are now looking at phase 2 and phase 3, and that hybrid version is really proving to not be a really good option. It subjects you to an awful lot that you'd be subjected to if you went in person. It's just a matter of space. So we have a lot of work to do to get the confidence and comfort level to where it needs to be. But I want the parents that are listening or people that are watching to understand we want to get back to that new normal as quickly as possible. Our teachers and paras and certainly admin and everybody are all on the same page with trying to work this out so that everybody's comfortable. But we appreciate all the support you provided. Our professional development is going really well these first 6 days or so, and we're excited about our kickoff in several weeks. So that's the update. I didn't want to ring any alarms when we're doing exactly what we said we would do, but we're also looking forward to where everybody wants to be, and that's that new normal where we're all back in person. So I didn't know if you had any questions. Hopefully that didn't confuse anybody or create any alarm. We're not. It's just I just wanted people to know what we're thinking and the direction that we're headed.
If I can,
No, I appreciate. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Caitlin.
I was just going to say that I appreciate that you're looking at things as they change. So that was the only thing I was going to say. Go ahead, David.
Yeah, I got a phase, the next phase and a phase 1 question that I know that Dr. Messler, you had said that giving the board an update on the 22nd as far as the direction we're going and, looking at the data from the first few weeks of other districts, et cetera. So I think that's good. What I'm wondering, and, maybe a board discussion around if on our meeting on, I think it's the 8th, we could have an update as where we are with the punch list to get us to the next phases, because I know there was a number of things that were brought from the task force. It wasn't just the HVAC, it was sanitizers, it was a laundry list. I was hoping that you could bring that to us at the next meeting of where we stand with that.
Yeah, no, I hope to, that's just bringing the work to scale because,
Yep.
most of those things we're going to need to do anyway, because we have teachers in the building. They're going to be teaching live. Many, not all, but many, almost all, will be teaching live from their classroom. So we're working out those details. So that's not a heavy lift. I think
Okay.
Between that meeting and, on the 8th and the 22nd, and then, the intention really is to even be able to look at several options here. I mean, I know I'm kind of tipping my hand. I'm not, not really in favor of the hybrid version versus the, everyone back version. I think, but I think that there's a lot of questions that have to be answered. We need answers on our end, and certainly, the people in the trenches are going to need answers as well to get, again, to that comfort level. But I will tell parents, we are committed to offering choice, because this will be really early. And, if we're in October, parents may not be, ready to make that decision just yet. So, our models are going to need to be refined in a sense. And so, we should have all that in the sense, very much like the presentations we had before, but this would be what we think our next best move is. Is it to a hybrid, or is it to something all back? I think Hampstead has a unique opportunity here to really do this really, really well. And I think, there's no perfect model out there, but I think, again, for us, it's just really going to be about, I think, comfort and safety and choice. I think that's really, as we look at it. So we're already working on that. It's hard, you're working on the opening, and we want to do 25 great days of remote learning, or 20, so whatever the number of days is. But we know that's not the be all end all. We know that there's the next thing we need to plan for while they're doing that. So we're asking our administrators and staff to do an awful lot at the same time. And, all I can say is proud to be a part of that team, proud to work with them. And they're up to the challenge. They hit the ground running, and they're ready to open, but they're also ready to develop the plan to do what's next. So it's pretty great. It's pretty great.
That's good. My follow-up on that is about phase 1. 2 questions. Is there anything else you need from the board? I just want to, I always ask that just because I want to make sure we're supportive in anything we can do. And then the second part of that one is, are we all set with everything? Do you think that the parents will start hearing some communication soon as far as schedules, as far as, just anything in general, just the communication that what they should be thinking about for supplies, all that good stuff?
Well, I think that the first part is you've been tremendously generous, and I think Hampstead has always been very prudent in the way they go about. This isn't a blank check. Buy lots of things. I think we talked about additional cleaning support, and I think that's an area that we will pursue. I think our nurses are telling us they believe they're equipped to handle what we're currently doing, and if that becomes overwhelming, we certainly would come back. I think as far as any redesign or any kind of plexiglass and those sorts of things, I think that'll be as needed, but I don't think that's something that we have funds to take care of that. Now, as far as communications, wrapping up the PD, they're shooting for that, that obviously that kickoff parade day. So I would tell parents, you'll be hearing about schedules in that in the near future. Obviously we're not going to tell you on the Friday before the Monday what your supplies are. So my hope is we can get that out, end of this week, beginning of next week, so that people have time to go out and get those kinds of materials and, whatever that may be, whatever they might be per grade level.
Great.
So like I said, we think we're in really good shape, but I'll, Mike Flynn and I will talk a little bit about the communication plan. If people can be just a little patient and they have it, I think if you have it by the 1st of September, it gives them 2 solid weeks to kind of get that. That seems fair to me in terms of from a parent's lens. I think I could give me 2 weeks to do something. I can probably get it done for my kids, right? So hopefully that won't be tough for people. But I am going to encourage, since you asked the question, I'm also going to encourage parents again. We sent them out. If we're missing something, or there's something that you need help with, if it's technology support, whatever it is, please ask, and whoever you're comfortable asking. You don't have to ask me, or you don't have to ask Mike Flynn. If it's your building principal, if it's your classroom teacher, everyone's advocating for everyone in Hampstead. So I think if there's something you need, I'm just encouraging people, just please ask, because I think we have willing and able force of people here that will get you what you need.
Yeah, I'll just follow that up, Dr. Smith. So that's a good point. I mean, one of the reasons I was asking is I had a parent reach out to me today to say, you know, my child struggles in math, and what should I do? I'm waiting for the schedule. And I said, the schedule will come out, and you know, you're going to have a week or two before. Don't worry about it. She's like, but I'm really worried about my child and being left behind with math. And I said, don't worry about it. What I would do, and I asked this person to reach out to Mr. Nola and say, hey, this is what my concerns are, and Mr. Nola will walk through that. So I would say to any other parent, you know, based on the school, whoever you're comfortable, to your point, Dr. Metzler, to do the same thing.
Yeah, no, and that was part of, remember we were trying to assess capacity. Proud to announce that our capacity is, we're pretty close to 100% in terms of our most at-risk population being able to provide services. So, you know, Francine Flynn is doing that with her staff, and, you know, parents will start to hear about that. How are we going to get students in? Now, you know, struggling in math and being on an IEP, it can be one and the same or two different things. But, you know, the kids that need that kind of help, we're going to be creative and clever about how we go about our resources, and we're going to make sure, in the spirit of equity, make sure that the people that need them most get them. And so we're going to start with our special ed population, making sure that we get them in for the kind of services that we can, and you know, during this you know 20-25 days, and we'll go from there. So
Thank you.
that was good advice. Yeah, I would say to all board members, if you get anything like that, just encourage them to reach out directly to the building level, even right down to the classroom teacher.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, that's all I really had on remote learning, unless you wanted to have a longer discussion about it. I think you know, everybody's ready, and you know, we're looking forward to getting started.
Wonderful. Thank you. Do we have to vote on consent agenda if we didn't have like personnel or anything?
I mean, the financial
Yes.
records, I don't know if do you have financial records in front of you at all? I mean, I don't have them in front of me. Did Jeff provide
No.
it?
In terms of the vouchers and all that, no, we had a run last week, I believe, and we'll have one next week.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I would say
Yeah.
you don't. There's no real action item in that consent agenda. So I think we're
Yeah.
good.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Metzler. We're on to other business, old business. I had one thing I wanted to kind of bring up, sort of ask Dr. Metzler, also maybe Mr. Dowd. So our schools, our middle school is used for voting. We have a primary in September and one in November. Anything going on there that we should know about, or that would be helpful to talk about to the public about? You know, obviously, as far as I'm aware, there's nowhere else in Hampstead to vote. So we want to make sure that we're letting the town use the facility. I'm just wondering if we've got anything going about discussions about how we're going to do that.
Well,
I'm going
this
to
is a
let Jeff respond to that, primarily because Jeff and I had a lengthy discussion, because this is problematic for having teachers teach and cleaning of the building, and being able to seal off a part of the building. But Jeff can tell us what our challenges are there. So.
Yeah, and this is extremely problematic, and none of our buildings are open to the public in any capacity whatsoever. And our teachers will, in fact, or will likely be in the building that day they're preparing for delivery of education or teaching. This is a little bit earlier in the year. So and bear in mind, there are two dates going on. One is the September primary, and the other is the November election. So let's just focus on the September primary at the moment. This is really an unenviable position that I think the school district itself is in, because in fact there is no other place in town that is ADA compliant, which would allow for, and very unfortunately, in fact, I've voted in years past at town hall, and I forget why, but there's just no ability to socially distance and be able to have any other space in town that would be compliant. So what I've asked the town to do, and I regret that I don't have the full answer on it, is to explore if we were to turn the gym at the middle school over to the town on a certain date and request it back from the town at another date. So I think perhaps, because that's September 8th, I think is right after holiday, perhaps turn it over to the town so that they can get set up on the Friday before, give that to the town lock, stock, barrel until probably Tuesday or Wednesday of the following week. As part of that arrangement, because we will have teachers in the building, I've specifically requested a plan from the town that will allow access to that area of the building directly from the parking lot. There are doors that face the parking lot closer to the I guess where the playground is, and there's the covered area on that side of the building. I believe those doors are ADA accessible. It is a little bit of a lip going up from the parking lot, but I think that'd be fine. If we were able to do that and keep the building itself really closed off, that lobby, that gym lobby area closed off to the public, I think it would be certainly helpful to the town, and it would certainly help the school make sure that those areas and those parts of the building are separated out. In addition to that, I've asked for the town to provide a cleaning plan to clean the gym and bring it back to the condition that it would be in before. And I believe in years past, we've been able to accommodate that request with our own building staff, but because of the heightened cleaning procedures, the size of that facility in particular, including the restrooms that are right off the gym area, I've asked that the town be able to come up with a plan. I know the town themselves, we have a significantly greater cleaning and maintenance crew than the town does, so it would require likely bringing in an outside vendor. I believe that the town had considered perhaps someone like Clean Harbors or someone of that scope or scale to be able to come in and really do a deep cleaning of the gym, to be able to return it to the school district after the election. Probably wouldn't be Tuesday night as it would be normally. I think normally we have our own custodians in helping out during that process and procedure. I really want to limit our custodians because of the risks that are involved in the current pandemic to school business and school visitors and school staff and faculty who happen to be in the building. Not have our cleaning crews really in that building, in that area of the building at all, until after the town is able to turn that back to us. So I'm still waiting on some final arrangements in that plan, but I know the town is aware of the gravity of which I'm holding that cleaning and the return of that facility back to the town at a very high standard. So I know they're aware of that, and I know they're working on it. And I think and I can't speak for the board, but certainly if they can accommodate being able to not utilize the lobby, because of course that lobby area, we have the music room off that lobby area, and we don't have a partition, we just have like a steel gate,
Right.
a gate that goes in between
Yep.
the gym lobby and the main part of the building. And I'd really prefer to keep that area, because we will have staff in the building itself, keep that area off limits. And frankly, I don't know why we haven't really used access directly from the parking lot in the past. I understand that with weather, sometimes in the winter or March or whenever they may be in the vote, perhaps weather's an issue. You can get the snow off your boots in the lobby area before you enter the building. But realistically, it would make some sense if they could turn, and it would be a radical change, not a radical change. I think a radical change what the voters of Hempstead would be used to, but I think they're going to see a radical change no matter what, because my impression would be that we have the voting booths that already exist, but there'd probably be at least every one of those that would be blocked off, if not every other, like every two would be blocked off in between. And I understand as an added incentive, the pens or the pencils that you use, or the pens that you use to fill out the ballots would be yours to keep when you leave the building. So we're already talking about some fundamental changes that the town is going to be looking at in that voting process and procedure. I don't know that the tables are going to be as close together. I don't know what the setup's going to be, but if it's turned around a bit and focused more on having traffic or folks come into the building from outside, using direct access, and even if it were raining or something, we could have a little bit of a tent set up or something, or they could have a tent set up perhaps, or something that would give a little bit of protection to the building from the rain. I think would be helpful. But I think the big thing here is that if the town is going to be using that facility for voting, I understand the situation that they're in fully as a resident and someone who's participated in that process. Really, they're going to have ownership of that building. They're going to have ownership of that process and all of that to be able to return it to the school district, to the Hempstead School District in as good a shape as they got it. We just won't be able to provide the normal support that sort of symbiotic relationship that we've had in the past. At this point, I'll get the board's thoughts if you have any ideas or any requests for the town, but I've really been working with them, and Jeff Mackey has been working with the town as well to make sure that we can have a very well thought out plan in advance. And certainly I know that we have Officer Conway, who's been instrumental in the past in making sure that our traffic flows and our since he's been on board, that our traffic flows, both for pedestrian and for vehicular traffic, have been in good shape, and I anticipate that we could utilize him for the school district on that day, maybe work with the town and work out a plan to try and get this voting set up, this arrangement set up the way that it would probably make most sense, to try and have it directly off that parking lot. And it'll be different. It'll be different, but I think it can be done. So does the school board have any thoughts, questions, suggestions?
I appreciate the work that's already been done on this, and I think it sounds like to me that there is a good option in place. We do not want to impede voting while still protecting our district staff that's in there at that point. And I think, frankly, it sounds like a pretty good plan with what you laid out, Jeff, about switching the entrance, which I think makes a lot of sense. And I think, as you kind of mentioned, sounds like something we should probably be doing in the future anyways, especially since we really can't close off that hallway fully that enters the rest of the building, and definitely cleaning afterwards. But I think it sounds like a good plan at this point. I don't know if anybody else has input on that.
I would say if we're okay with it, then I'll proceed with the town in that way and with that understanding. And I believe that, again, we're in for a bigger election in November. And I don't know whether we'll be remote at that time, hybrid at that time or not. That's something that obviously I would expect a much larger turnout for. And again, appreciating the situation that the town's in, we can't go outside of the town to have voting. We can't rent space somewhere else. It has to be in the town.
Right.
So we'll see how this goes, and and keep it on the radar for the November election. I'm certainly hoping that we can.
Jeff, typically, just a question on that. Typically, the November election would be holiday, so kids wouldn't be in the building, or would they be?
Typically, they wouldn't be in the building. I didn't check this year's calendar though, because things have been a little bit mixed up. But typically, I believe we try and schedule around that anyway. So
Yeah, I don't have the calendar in front of me, but I believe since it was a national election that that we took that day off. But the problem is sometimes we still have professional development on that day, so I don't know. I'm not quite sure. We'll have to take a look and see what we designated it as. But I think we were all talking about a national election when we were making the calendar. So
yeah,
Okay.
and we can adjust that calendar if we need to. Right. It would make sense to not be there at all during the election in this particular year. Right.
Well, we've been able to get the building turned over with our own staff and ready to go for, I believe, Wednesday, the day after. And that's absolutely not going to be the case this year. I would not bank on that. So even if we're not in school because of the council, I haven't necessarily followed up on the calendar on it because I don't know that we're going to be in school generally, if we'll still be remote or if that's going to be a hybrid day or whatnot. We have to be cognizant of the fact that building may not be ready for us on Wednesday. It may not be ready for us the day after if we're going to be having another deep cleaning done by staff outside of the school. That may take some time, and quite frankly, whatever time it takes is the time that it takes. We're going to get it done right, but it's not going to be the type of thing that it's just a Tuesday, election Tuesday issue. It's going to be a multi-day issue no matter what. So
is the election day November 3rd? Is that?
I believe so.
Yeah.
That's the election day. Yeah. So
Yep.
I was fortunate enough to have a colleague send me the picture of the calendar, so I won't take credit for having the calendar this handy, but we do not have a day scheduled. That was scheduled, believe it or not, we have parent-teacher conferences scheduled that day, so we'll need to reschedule that, right?
Yep.
Yeah, just
Yep.
because it's just not great. And it's about parking and accessibility. But
Yeah.
This pandemic will still be on people's minds, no matter what the data says at that point. Even if we're all back in by then, I still think we need to be sensitive to all these kinds of events that kind of overlap, if you will, with people. It's just not a good practice. So we'll take a look at that and bring some recommendations back to the board with calendar adjustment, and you certainly can vote on it, and we'll change the calendar. Okay.
And we'll see what the performance is based on this election cycle coming up in September. And if it's a multi-day thing, we'll keep that in mind as well.
Okay. Thank you both.
It's ironic that
Any other,
we have PC on that day, which is politically correct, is what's on the calendar. So we'll do what's politically correct. How's that? Sorry.
okay.
That was mine. That didn't come from somebody else, so I'll take responsibility.
Okay. Any other business that anyone wants to bring forward?
The only one I'd want to bring up, I know we've had a quick email exchange on this, but you know, meeting back in public, socially distancing. I think that it is something we should discuss, if not today, at least be thinking about in the near future when that would happen as a board meeting again back in public. But I know there's going to be discussion around that, especially if we're talking about having our teachers and our students back in. I think leading by example is something I'd want to put out there to think about and have a discussion in the near future.
I mean, it's certainly something we need to keep thinking of. So I have a suggestion. Why don't we add it to the agenda for the 8th so that it's an actual agenda item? Give all of us time. And plus, we are missing Jim. I would really like that to be a whole board thing, but you're right. I mean, we got to get it on there. So Melissa, if you don't mind making a note that we'll add that to the agenda for the 8th to talk about options and kind of just talk as a board about when that's appropriate. There's a bug in my room. I'm really sorry. Sorry. So, what our options are, what it looks like to meet in a socially distanced, but, some way to do that. So, yeah, let's add that for the 8th. Let's have everybody, maybe kind of think about that a little bit.
So point of
what they'd be
clarification.
comfortable with. Yeah.
Just clarification. So would you like that to be a discussion that is started from scratch, or would you like for us to bring what we think it would look like in the event that we're able to do something like that?
I'm going to put it this way. If you have time, because I realize between now and the 8th, there is going to be a lot of work done. And obviously I would think all of us want remote learning to come first. If you have time to put something together as far as what you think it might take in terms of where, I think we can all put out there that we really probably have to be looking at like the middle school cafeteria in a space to be able to properly distance the 5 of us, plus Melissa, I would assume plus Dr. Metzler, Mr. Flynn, Mr. Dabb. So the only space we have that at this point would be the middle school cafeteria, because we also have some cable availability there. So, but yeah, Dr. Metzler, I mean, if you have time, and I'm serious because I think that we have more pressing things. But if you have time to look at that, we also need to acknowledge it would take some extra cleaning after we were there. So if you have a chance to do it, fantastic. If not, we'll just kind of start it from scratch and see where we can go.
Well, I appreciate the sensitivity in terms of time. But this isn't a discussion that we just started. I mean, we've been talking about this for quite some time. What it will look like, when we'll be able to do it. Obviously there's some additional details if we're going to make some sort of presentation, what we think is a potential option. So we can certainly have that, have something for you on the 8th to take a look at. And you are right. We're going to need to be in a bigger space. So that eliminates pretty much the town hall. That brings us to the middle school cafeteria in the event that we, maybe it's for the 22nd. I don't know, what meeting. It obviously wouldn't be the meeting on the 8th. So we're talking a few more weeks out.
Right.
But plenty of time to plan and, yeah. So yeah, I guess we'll have something for you on the 8th. Thank you.
Okay. I appreciate it. Thank you.
One extra comment about it. Another thing I think, one thing I had emailed out and would like to consider is if we can continue having these Zoom meetings for the public, for those that wouldn't want to be able to attend or aren't able to. I think we get a bigger turnout, and I'd say we finally, quote unquote, finally get public participation and interest because we're making it easier for the public to attend these. So that to be part of the considerations in the future, not just now, but I mean, I think ongoing, it's a good practice, but it's just my opinion. I'd want to bring that to the board for discussion.
Yeah, I think it raises a good point. I mean, we also have to talk about cost. One of the reasons that Hampstead doesn't currently have a live stream capability is because of the cost involved. But you make a good point because, you know, technically our meetings, when we have met in person prior to all this, it went out on cable, and it did go out live on cable. But the problem is there are a lot of people shifting away from cable, which makes me too. So so we would definitely need to talk about what the cost of that is, what it looks like technology wise, to be able to do something where kind of all of us are shown on Zoom, I guess. Anyways, so that needs to all be part of the conversation for sure.
And Kayla, I second that. I mean, if we have a lot of pressing, discussions that are going on and, just activities. If this doesn't make it for the 8th because of everything that goes to the 22nd, I just wanted to bring it up as a point. I think that should be on the agenda in the next month, but.
Yeah, and we'll start with the 8th and, if we need to do more research after that on something then, but, keeping it in the forefront and trying to figure it out is important. Any other business or old business? Okay, seeing none, I would like to ask for a motion for a non-public session under RSA 91A:3, Section 2, C and L, reputation and legal. Board members and Melissa and Dr. Metzler, you have a call-in number for that, but I will be looking for a motion to go into non-public.
Motion going non-public.
Somebody?
For RSA 91A:3, Section 2, CNL.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Melissa, will you please call the roll?
Ms. Malcolm,
Yes.
Mrs. Parnell,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mrs. Yusenka.
Yes.
Motion carries. It's 8:46.
Okay.